Let's put it on top of my head. There we go. Okay. So, first things first. Okay, so if you guys have opened up Blender, your screen should look pretty similar to mine. Except for this part, probably. These are just the recent files. These are things that I've been working on. But you'll see all these different types of files. And they're just kind of like templates that are like, Blender just has like some really basic templates set up for you, like to help facilitate workflow for if you're trying to do something specific. Blender's crazy because you can do normal traditional 3D modeling, you can do sculpting, you can do visual effects, video editing. It's crazy how much different stuff you can do in Blender. It's a really, really great, really flexible, powerful program. And it's free. Isn't that crazy? That's like the craziest thing to me about Blender, is that Blender is free. That's nuts. There's so many resources out there to learn Blender for free also. It's crazy. It's free real estate. Yeah, thank you, Base Blender. Like, Blender is, it's actually crazy. Blender is actually like it's like a pretty old program. When I first learned 3D modeling when I was a kid, I was in like early middle school the first time I even touched 3D modeling. The summer camp that I went to, I did the 3D modeling summer camp, and they taught us how to 3D model in Maya. Unfortunately though, Maya is a paid program and also not cheap. So I was like 12 and oh dude, thank you so much for the subscription. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah. So, I got home from summer camp and I was like, oh my god, I just learned how to 3D model. I'm so excited. I'm gonna 3D model all of these anime characters. And then I realized that Maya is actually a really expensive program. And oh, ads, that makes sense. Oh yeah. If, sorry in advance if you guys get any ads and you don't want to see the ads. I don't think I'll be able to do much about that, but if you guys are subscribed, you won't get any ads, because if you're a sub, you won't get any ads. Also, if you have, I'm not trying to like shill, I'm just like, I just want to make sure people, like, maybe you have a Prime subscription, you can use your Prime subscription to sub to my channel. It just comes for free with your Prime subscription and you won't get any ads. I don't know if there's any way for me to stop the ads for this stream, but it's whatever. Anyways, yeah, Blender's been around for a really long time, because when I got home I was like, oh no, Autodesk Maya costs money, I don't like that. I was trying to look up alternatives that were free, and Blender came up. Unfortunately, my attempts to use Blender as a 12-year-old were very difficult, because there weren't as many good tutorials back then, because that was like over 10 years ago. That was over 10 years ago. And the tutorials that I did try to follow, for some reason, I just couldn't figure out why there were like some things in the tutorial that weren't working for me, and I couldn't figure out why. And after a week of trying, I gave up and never 3D modeled again until 5 months ago. Anyways, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Blender has been around for over 10 years now. It's got over 10 years of development, a huge community behind it, constantly working to improve it, finding cool new uses for it. It's an awesome program. I love Blender. Anyway, sorry to get distracted there. Oh, hey, Backbreaker. Hey, welcome. You're just in time. If you've got Blender downloaded already, go ahead and open it up. I'm gonna be walking everybody through the basics of 3D modeling today. And if you don't have it, it's a really short download. So you could literally download it like right now, and it would probably be done in like 15 minutes. Okay, so just to kind of show you guys some of the basics, let's open up a general file. We'll just open up a general file. So you'll see it under new file right there, general. Just click it, and it will just open up there for you. Oh, MeltyKit! MeltyKit, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us today. Okay. So, oh, and by the way, in case anybody has to leave in the middle of the stream or someone comes into the stream late, I will have. Can't stay too long, but I'll just watch the VOD later. No problem. Thank you, thank you. Yeah. I am gonna be uploading the VOD to YouTube. I'm probably not gonna edit the VOD, to be honest, though. I'm kind of a bit too lazy to edit out all the fluff of the VOD. It'd be a lot. But, I'm already having trouble. Is it the file on the top left? Oh, okay, here. Let me restart Blender, and just to make sure that we all see the same screen. Okay, so when you first open Blender, does your Blender look like this when you first open it up? It's just this screen with this prompt box in the middle. Does it look like that for you, dude? It should theoretically look like that. If it doesn't look like that for anyone, please let me know. I think oh, you closed it? Okay, if you closed it, then you'll probably want to reopen Blender again. But just to make sure we're all like in the same page. But usually what I just did is I literally just went to New File and clicked General. I think though you can still do it up in the top left corner in File, and if you go in the corner to the File menu and go to New, you can also select General from there to start a new file. I have my cursor enabled, right? So you guys can see it. Okay. Is there a way to make my cursor like more obnoxious looking for you guys? I guess not. I was hoping I could highlight it so it's more stands out more, but if you guys have trouble seeing anything at any point, just let me know, and I will do my best to like help you guys see better. Is there any difference from skipping the small screen and clicking General though? There isn't, as far as I can tell. There is no difference. It's just convenience. I usually end up, because the starting menu screen that pops up in the center also contains like recent files there, so I usually always end up opening stuff from there, at least when I first start up Blender. But there's no difference between opening a new file through this menu in the corner and opening up a new file in the little center box menu. Windows accessibility options might have cursor options. Ooh. I wonder, would that show up on show up on screen? Although I don't know if that's something I can change very quickly. Oh, ease of access, mouse pointer size. Oh, nice. Okay. Ooh, let's make my cursor like really big. Okay, maybe actually that's a little bit too big. Hold on. Okay. All right, this should be excellent. Although actually, I don't think that changed the size of the cursor for you guys. I don't think that didn't change the size of the cursor for you guys, unfortunately. But whatever. I just have a huge mouse cursor now, I guess. Oh well. Hi Hanga, welcome. Professor Penny. Okay, so, alright, let's get back to work. Okay, so let me just kind of introduce you guys to the basic things you're gonna see in the general file. Just to kind of get you guys like an idea of what you're looking at. So this thing in the center, that's a cube. This is a 3D model. This cube right here is a 3D model. Oh, and I'll teach you guys the controls real quick, but I just want to kind of show you guys some stuff before I teach you the controls. You don't have to worry about doing anything on your end. I'm just going to kind of explain some things. So this is a 3D model. This thing here, it's like a weird cone looking thing that's black, and when you click on it, it turns orange. This is a camera. And this thing that's like a weird little circle thing with a line on it is a light. For today's tutorial, it kind of just like teaching you the basics. We are not going to worry about anything about cameras or lights because sorry, I got distracted by chat. It's basically the same as Autodesk Maya, right? It has been over 10 years since I used Maya, so I honestly cannot remember if they are similar or not. I don't know what Maya looks like now compared to what Blender looks like now. But they are both 3D modeling programs, and they should fundamentally not be that different. Okay. So I guess before we do anything, I want to teach you the very, very basic controls in Blender. So that way, if you want to kind of like look around at stuff on your own while I'm talking, you can. So, I'm pretty sure I haven't changed any of Blender's like shortcuts or controls. I'm pretty sure I'm using the defaults. So then until it gets to the really complicated stuff, I guess I can skip on lessons. Yeah, I'm only going over like the really basic 3D modeling stuff today, Henga. I will be uploading the VOD to YouTube later. So if you just want to check out the VOD later, feel free. I'm going over like really basic stuff today for like beginners, because I am honestly not an expert. Yeah, okay. So I guess the very first basic control is, I think that everyone's gonna want to know, is how to rotate the camera and how to select things. So left click is the select in Blender. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. If you click on something, usually you will select it. If you right click brings up a menu. And it's going to be a context menu. So depending on what you right click, the things that show up in the right click menu are going to be different. Don't worry about the right click menu for now. I'm kind of just teaching you guys that it exists and not to worry about it. And to rotate your view, there's multiple ways to rotate your view and edit your viewport view. So the easiest way, or like the most straightforward way that's not confusing, are these little icons here at the side. Hopefully, can you see my mouse? And I'll just bring my mouse over here and you can see them. They're the little icons. There's like a row of 4 icons in a column that are under like this little green, red, blue axis here. These icons help you, can let you move around the viewport. If you mouse over them, they tell you exactly what they do. So this icon lets you zoom in and out. You can change it by clicking on the icon and then dragging your mouse up and down to zoom in and out on the view. The icon below it is the move the view icon. So when you click this icon and you drag your mouse around, it lets you move around the viewport, like the position of where your like eyeball camera is. The third icon is toggle the camera view, which is, it basically lets you look at what the view looks like through this camera here that they already put in the default scene. Because as I mentioned before, this thing here is a camera, and when you click this camera icon here, it will tell you, it will give you the view that the camera sees. We're not going to worry about that today, but I'm just kind of letting you know how it works. And this fourth icon is, this switches the type of perspective that we're looking at. So this is a really important thing for 3D modeling. There are 2 different perspectives that you can see stuff through. There is the perspective view, basically, and the orthographic view. And I've not like Googled the exact definitions of them, but they're basically like 2 different ways to see things, like how the camera is looking at stuff. Like this view, I think the best way for me to describe this view is, if you guys have ever played an isometric video game, this view, the what is it called again? The orthographic view, that it's basically like an isometric view in a video game. Everything is like very exact. I don't know like technically what makes it this view, but I like to think of it personally as like the eyeball view, like the things you see with your eyeballs, like normally if you were out in the world looking at stuff with your eyeballs, versus if you were looking at stuff in an isometric view in a video game. And they both have their uses. They're both very useful views when you're 3D modeling. So they're nice to have. But that's the basics on just like looking at stuff in Blender. You can use these icons to do most of the work that you need to do. Let's go back to perspective view, the one where you're kind of just like looking at it with your normal plain eyeballs. That's the view I use the most when I'm 3D modeling. And I think it's just like the most natural looking, especially when you're learning. Okay. Oh, and for some quick mouse controls, in case anyone here hasn't messed around and figured it out yet, If you want to zoom in and out really easily, the mouse wheel should just let you zoom in and out really easily. And if you click the mouse wheel, hold it down, and drag around, it'll let you rotate the camera very easily as well. That's the main way I usually move my camera around, is using my mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and clicking and dragging to rotate my camera. If I lose anybody at any point, or you miss something that I said, please feel free to ask a question. I am totally okay repeating myself. I do not mind. Because this stream is for you guys. Okay. So, first things first, I'm going to teach you guys kind of the very, very basics of how 3D models work. We're going to ignore the camera and the light because we don't need those today. So, we're going to get rid of them. There's a bunch of different ways we could get rid of them. The easiest way is to click on it with your left mouse button, and then just press your delete key, and it will get rid of it. Easy peasy. So I just deleted the camera just now, and we're gonna delete the light, so you just click on it, and press the delete key on your keyboard, and then it's gone. Poof, it's like it was never there. We kicked it to the curb. I told it that I hate it and that I'm not paying child support. It's gone. Do we have to get rid of them, or can we just ignore it? You don't have to get rid of them. It'll just make your workspace a little bit cleaner if they're not there, because we're not going to be doing anything with them. So it'll make it easier on you. Having fun spinning the box, nice. Okay. So let's go. I'm going to show you guys some stuff. I'm going to show you guys the meat of a 3D model. I'm going to teach you guys what exactly is a 3D model made of. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to click this cube that's in the file. We're going to click it and select it, and you'll know it's selected because of the orange outline. And then right here in the corner, you should have a little drop-down menu. And right now it should say Object Mode. It's right here up in the top left corner. When you click it, your options you should have 6 different options: Object, Edit, Sculpt, Vertex, Weight, and Texture. And you are going to want to click Edit Mode. So when you selected the cube, you're going to go up into the top left corner, click the drop-down menu, and click Edit Mode. And that will take us into Edit Mode. And you'll know you're in Edit Mode because it will say in the top left corner, Edit Mode. Okay. So, if you click off of the box, it will deselect the box. Just to let you know. And then if you want to reselect stuff, we're in edit mode now. So let me, actually, before I get into anything, let me just teach you some stuff. Okay, so I'm zoomed in on the cube. So this is a cube, right? This cube is made up of something that we call vertices. 3D models are made up of 3 different things, basically. The most basic tiny part of a 3D model is a vertice. A vertice is this little dot. It is basically it is a point in space. Then the next thing is an edge, which is a line. An edge is made up when you connect 2 different vertices together and it makes a line. That's what we call an edge on a 3D model. And when you connect a whole bunch of vertices together, that's what we call a face on a 3D model. So this would be a face of the cube. And this face is made up of 4 different vertices that are all connected together to make this one face. And each of the sides of the face are made up of an edge. As you can see. I hope you can see me selecting it. So that's base. Oh, why is my hand doing that? Hello? Okay, there we go. That's basically what makes up the meat of a 3D model. Every 3D model is made up of these 3 things. It's made up of vertices, and the vertices form edges, and the edges form faces. That is your building units of a 3D model. Every shape on a 3D model is just made up of vertices, edges, and faces. So let me teach you guys about how to move these things around. So in the top corner where it says edit mode, right next to it, you can see um, the select buttons. And the buttons are basically how you decide if you want to be able to select vertices, if you want to select edges, or if you want to select faces. Because each of these things are like individual things that can select it in Blender, but you have to tell Blender which of these things that you want to select. So we're going to start off by selecting vertices. So we're going to select Vertex Select, which is the one that looks like a dot on the left side of the cube. It's the one that's the closest to the edit mode box. You want to click that and make sure it's highlighted. And on the very left side of the screen, these are all of our Blender tools. I'll be real with you guys, I don't know how to use every single Blender tool. There's a lot of Blender tools, but I know how to use the important ones. So here is the very top tool is the select. So there are a lot of different selection tools. There's tweak. Tweak makes it so you can only pick one thing at a time. There's select box, which turns your selection into a box, so you can like draw a box with your left mouse button, like click and drag, and whatever's inside the box you will select. And the next one is select circle. It's like select box, but instead of clicking and dragging to make a box, you click and drag with the circle, and then everything that you draw over with this circle will get selected, kind of like a paintbrush. And the last one is select lasso. You click and drag, and you can make whatever crazy shape you want on the screen, and then whatever is inside that shape will get selected. That is select lasso. Those are the basic select tools. For today's stuff to start with, we are going to select tweak, so we can only pick one thing at a time. We're just gonna, so make sure that when you're in the select tools, when you click it, oh, I guess I should, sorry, you guys might be having trouble. To select a new select tool, you can click it and hold it, and then this drop-down menu will come up. Yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that a little bit earlier. You click and hold it, and then the drop-down menu of the different select tools will come up, and then you can mouse over and select the one you want. So we're gonna go to tweak, which is the top one. Okay. So after you've got tweak selected, now you can select the individual vertices on the box, because we're in Vertex Select mode, and you can click the different vertices on the box. Isn't that very cool and swaggy? Okay. And so now we can mess around with the shape of this box, because we can select a vertice, and we can start moving it around. Very cool and swaggy. Okay. So the next really important tool that you guys are going to want to learn how to use for all 3D modeling is this tool. So if you go to the toolbar on the left, it is the third tool down. If you mouse over it, it says move, and it's like a tool that looks like 4 arrows pointing in different directions. We're going to select the move tool. So make sure you have at least one vertice selected. You'll know it's selected because it'll be highlighted in white, and it'll be kind of orange around it. So select one, when you're in the select tool, just select one vertice. And then you can select the move tool, and we can start moving this around. So the way I usually move stuff is using these arrows here, right? So the blue arrow controls everything on the Z axis. The red arrow controls everything on the X axis, and the green arrow controls everything on the Y axis. So just to make sure everybody's clear, the X axis is the horizontal axis. The Y axis is, I want to say vertical, but that might be confusing because I think of blue as being vertical, because for me, blue is the thing that goes up and down. So I just think of the Y-axis as being the back and forth axis, because it controls like the opposite direction of the horizontal axis. And the blue axis, the Z-axis, is the one that is for up and down. So if you want to move this vertice around, you can click and drag the arrow that you want. I'm clicking and dragging on the blue arrow, and you can now move the dot up and down and control where the vertice is in space. So if you drag this vertice down, you'll see that we have lowered a corner of the box, and now it's not really a box, it's more like I don't know, a cardboard box that you stepped on, kinda. And you can do it with all of the arrows. So if you select the green arrow, it will move the vertice along this axis. If you select the red arrow, it'll move it along the red axis. If anyone's having any trouble or anything, feel free to let me know. But that's the basics of moving things around in Blender. And you can select more than one thing in Blender. So you can move multiple things at once if you want. So let's say I wanted to move both the top and bottom corner of the box. You can... Oh, another thing to note is you don't have to have the select tool to actually select things. I'm in the move tool right now, but if I click things, it will still select the thing that I click. You just want to make sure that you're in the correct type of select tool that you want. Like if I only want to pick one thing, you got to just make sure that tweak is selected in your select tools. If you want to be in box select, you can still box select while you have the move tool selected. Just make sure you have the correct tool, correct select tool designated for whatever you want before you start using other tools. So you know what? Let's get into box select. Or actually, no. Let me teach you guys something, a new thing. I'm gonna go back into tweak select. If you click something and then hold shift, you can select another thing, and then both things will stay selected, even if you have the tweak tool and you're only selecting one thing at a time. This is a good way to kind of do like fine-tuned work where you only want to move like a couple different things, but it's like too hard to multi-select them with like the box tool or lasso tool. It's a really good way to be very exact about what you want to select. Hi Kaisifat, welcome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both the top and bottom corners of this box, and with the move tool, when I use the move tool now, it will move both things at the same time. Oops. Yeah, it'll move both things at the same time. Just be careful sometimes. Sometimes this happens. Oh, sorry. This happens to me a lot, is where I'll go to click an arrow, but Blender accidentally thinks I didn't click the arrow, and then I accidentally deselect something or select something new and start moving around something I didn't want to. So just be like careful when you work and like just pay attention. So yeah, that's how you can move more than one thing. And if you click this, if you click inside this white circle in the middle of where all the arrows are, if you click inside this white circle, you can like freely move stuff. So you won't be trapped on any one axis. So you can like freely move things around. I actually don't use this very often because, well, sometimes it's like really hard to get things exactly where you want. And it's kind of hard to tell where you're moving it until you start rotating the camera. Because it's actually really hard to tell where things are in 3D space if you don't move the camera around constantly to check where everything is. The holy Control Z. Yes, Val. I also want to point out to you guys, Control Z is a command. The undo command is a command in Blender. So you can Control Z everything that you do in Blender. Just keep in mind, it has a limit. You cannot Control Z back to the beginning of time. I don't know the exact number of, like, actions that Blender can undo, but there is a limit. And I've also had a lot of times where if I've tried to Control Z too many things, Blender gets mad at me and crashes the program. So just be very careful about using Control Z. Can you increase the limit to undo? You probably could, Sugar. But, as I was saying before, sometimes Blender gets mad if you try to undo too many things or undo things too fast. My personal recommendation when you're working on, especially like a longer project, where you're doing a lot of things, is just to save different iterations of the file. So that way, if you found out, oh, I did something really bad and I need to like go back to an earlier point in time to redo some stuff, but my undo doesn't go back that far, then you can at least have another file to go back to. So I often, when I work on 3D models, I save iterations of the model. I just take the file name and I save it as file name 1, file name 2, file name 3. So I have different versions of the file across like the whole time I was working on it in case I need to go back to like undo some stuff. Alright, so people like to do scripts for Blender, so there might be a chance. I feel like there probably is a way to increase the history, the undo history that you can access in Blender. I just personally don't know how, because I've never bothered looking into it. Okay. So now I want to show you guys kind of some differences between the different selects. So we were in Vertex Select, right? We were in Vertex Select, so we were only selecting one vertice at a time. Or vertex at a time? I always say vertice. I think vertices is only for plural and vertex is the singular, but I just really like the word vertice. Anyways, let's go into Edge Select. So when you go into Edge Select and you select one of the edges on the model, it will, obviously it highlights the edge, but when you move it around with the move tool, you'll notice that it'll move around the whole edge. And when you're moving around an edge, you're going to move all of the vertices that make up that edge. So when we select the edge, we're moving both the top and bottom vertex. So we are selecting both of these vertices automatically when we're in edge select and you select this edge, because those are the two vertices that make up this edge. So when you move it around, you're moving both those vertices. And then when you're in face select, it's a similar thing. Faces are made up of edges, which are made up of vertices. So when you select this face and you move the face around, you're moving around all four of these edges and all 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices that make up those edges in the face. Yep. Okay. So now we have a really messed up cube now, right? We got like a funky messed up cube. Okay. So here's some more selection shortcuts that I think will be very useful for you guys to know. If you press A, that is select all. That's the select all shortcut. When you press A, you're going to select every single thing that's part of this mesh. That's part of part of the object. I wanna clarify some terminology to you guys. All of these faces and the vertexes and the edges, all of this that makes up the 3D model, this is what you call the mesh. The mesh is basically all of the the mesh is just like the substance of the model. It's all of the little parts and faces and stuff. That's the stuff that makes up the model. So that's what a mesh is. Mesh is a very commonly used term. So you're just gonna want to be familiar with it and understand that that's what we mean when we say mesh, is all of this stuff that's making up the shape of the model. Okay, so when you press A and you select all, you select everything, and see, look, now when I move it, we're moving around the whole thing. It's a really great and useful tool. And another really useful thing is what would be the best way to... Oh yeah, okay, actually, okay, so let's select everything. Let's select everything, and when you select everything, I'm going to teach you guys, okay, these are some other really basic tools. The next tool that we got is the rotate tool. The rotate tool is right under move, and you can see the rotate tool also functions mechanically the same. It's got it's got different axes to rotate based on the different axes. Axes. So you can rotate this way, this way, this way. Or if you rotate it with the white circle, it will rotate based on your viewpoint. So since I'm viewing it from here, so if I rotate it here, it's going to rotate it based on this viewpoint. But if I rotate my camera this way, it's going to rotate based on my new viewpoint. So it's going to rotate it like this. And see? I hope that's easy to understand. And then the next thing is the scale tool. The scale tool's right under the rotate tool. You can click it. Gotta go AFK. Good luck, people. Bye, Val. And same dealio. It's also axis based. So if I scale it based on the z-axis, it's only going to scale in this up and down way. If I use the green, it's only going to scale along the green axis. If I select red, it's only going to scale along the red axis. If you want to scale everything at the same time uniformly, you can click and drag on the white circle like within the white circle space, and it will scale everything all at the same time in exactly the same scale. If you want to do it like manually, if you go into the bottom right corner, actually I forgot to point this out. This goes for every single tool that I showed you so far. This box exists for the move tool, the rotate tool, and the scale tool. But if you go into the very bottom corner, which I just realized I am blocking with my video player, so let me let me close my video player. My bad, guys. Okay, so you'll see in the bottom corner, you'll see a box that says resize. If you click the box, it will bring up these menus here with these numbers, and you can manually type in numbers or use these arrows to adjust the numbers, so you can do it really exact. There are some uses for doing this very exactly like this with numbers, so it's a very useful thing to keep in mind. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now to show you some other really, really basic stuff is... Okay, so another thing is... Okay, remember, we're still in edit mode. So when you are in edit mode and you go to the top menus here, it's the menu, it's like a bunch of buttons right next to all of the different selection modes. If you... Let's go to add. We're going to add another shape because we messed up our box so bad and our box is not a box anymore. Well, at least if you're like me, your box is not a box anymore. But we're going to go and let's add a new shape to mess around with. So to do that really easily, we're going to click add. And when you click, or when you mouse over add, this drop down menu will show up. And they have all of these great, cool, funky shapes for you to use. They have a lot of really basic shapes that you can pick from. There's plane, and you know what? The sky's the limit here. We're gonna add all of them, and I can show you guys all the shapes. So here's plane. And when you add in an object, it's automatically going to select that whole thing that you just added, that whole shape that you just added. So it's already selected the plane for me, and we can move it around. I am going to move it out of the way of my box, so we can look at it. And I'm gonna rotate it just so you guys can get a better look at it. But the plane is literally a plane. It is literally just a flat square. It's only made up of 4 vertices. It's just a plain, boring old square. But the plane is actually very useful. It's just like a really good like building block. And now that we have 2 different objects, I also want to I shouldn't call them objects. That's not the correct terminology. Now that we have 2 different shapes, I'm going to teach you guys another really, really convenient, handy keyboard shortcut. If you mouse over a part of one of the shapes and you press L on your keyboard, it is going to select that shape, like everything that is connected to the thing that you selected, everything that's connected to it, it's all going to be selected. So it will go, this happens to the cube too. If I mouse over the cube and I press L on the cube, everything that makes up, or I guess it's not a cube anymore, everything that makes up this shape is going to be selected. It's like very convenient if you want to select like whole sections of stuff at a time. It's very convenient. Okay, so there's like a whole bunch of other shapes. If you go back into the add menu up in the top corner, you'll see circle. The circle is literally just here. Let me move it and I'm gonna scale it so you guys can get a better look at it. I'll make it bigger. The circle is literally just a ring of vertices in a circular shape. It doesn't even have a face. It doesn't even have a face. But I'll teach you guys some cool stuff. So if you select a vertice, if you select more than one vertice, what we're gonna do is, actually we're gonna mouse over the circle that we just added in. If you added in a circle, mouse over it, press L, select everything that's on that circle. Select that whole circle. Or you can do it any way you want. You can mouse over it and press L. You can use box select to select all of the vertices on the circle. You can, whichever you have more fun doing. And now another really handy keyboard shortcut is if I press F, it makes a face. Because what you do when you press F is you're connecting all of the stuff that you just selected. F is what makes stuff. It's your connecty button. So if I undo the fact that I made that face, I'll show you another example. Let's say I pick 2 different vertices on this circle. If I just select 2 and I press F, it makes an edge because I only selected 2 vertices. That's not enough to make a face, but it makes an edge. And now we have this new cool edge right there. If I'm going to select the edge and I'm going to delete the edge. Oh, and okay, so this is actually a really great example of something that you guys should keep in mind. When you mouse over something, or when you select something and you click it and you want to delete it, this menu is going to come up because there is a lot of different things that you can do with the delete button. If I select the edge and I say I want to delete the vertices, it's going to get rid of all of the vertices that made up that edge. So it doesn't delete just the edge, it deletes the vertices too. And now you'll see that we have holes in our circle, and it's not a circle anymore. So we're going to undo that. If I select that I want to delete the edge, it just deletes the edge, which is great. So always just be careful about exactly what you're deleting when you delete stuff. Remember, if you delete the vertices, all the vertices are going to go away. But if you just say you only want to delete the edges, only the edge is going to delete and the vertices will stay. Okay, so let's go back into Vertex View, or Vertex Select, right there in the corner. And if I select 3 different vertices now and I press F, it makes a face. Because what Blender is doing is it's taking all of those vertices and it's saying, okay, if I drew a line to all of those vertices, what shape does that make? And those 3 vertices make this face. It makes this triangle. And so if I go into face select and I select this face and I delete it, once again, if I say delete vertices, it's going to delete all the vertices that make up that face. If I say delete edges, it will delete all of the edges that make up that face. And you'll notice that, see how this edge of the circle, that disappeared when I deleted that face, because that edge helped make up that face. So when I said I want to delete all of the edges, it all goes away, and then your circle is not a circle anymore. Welcome back, Val. Okay, and then if I delete and I say I want to delete the faces, it still deletes the edge actually, because the edge made up the face, and to delete the face you have to get rid of the edge. If you wanted to delete this face, but you wanted to leave all of the edges back in, you wanted to make sure that all the edges stayed, you could say only faces, and then the face would be gone, but the edges would still be here. If I said I wanted to delete the edges and faces only, it still does that thing where the edge is gone here, but it wouldn't delete the vertices. And those are some basics. So now we've got a circle with a funky triangle in it, this plane, and blah blah blah. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything you guys are confused about? Do you guys think you got it? If anyone's having any trouble with any of the controls or anything, please feel free to ask me any questions and get clarification on anything. I'm totally down for it. Got it? Okay, cool. Okay. Y'all got it under control? Nice. Okay. I've taught you guys the basics, so let me teach you guys, Oh, I just wanna go over this really basically with you guys, because like this is really important to working in Blender. Is remember that this whole time we have been in edit mode, right? We're in the mode that lets us select all the vertices, edit the meshes, move stuff around. That's like the things that make up the shape of the model. But if we go back into object mode, you'll notice that when we click on one of the shapes, if we go back out into object mode in the corner and we click on one of the shapes, it selects everything, because everything that we just made, everything that we just added in edit mode, that's actually all part of the same object. This is all part of, you'll see in the top right corner, it says cube, right? Because that was the object that we edited, was the cube. It's called cube. So when we went into edit mode, we were editing the cube. So all of this new stuff that we added is all part of that original cube object. So when we move it around in object mode, when we're in object mode and we click it and we can move it around and edit it, everything is part of the cube. If at any point you want to separate it out, if you want to separate any of these things out into their own objects, what you want to do is you want to go back into edit mode. You want to select the thing that you want to separate out. Let's separate this funky circle thing, for example. So I want to move this whole separate circle thing and make it its own guy. I want to make it independent, you know? I don't think it needs to depend on CubeCon anymore. Circle Chan is independent and does not need any three-dimensional object in her life. So we are going to select it all with the handy keyboard shortcut that I showed you earlier, where you mouse over the thing and you press L, and everything connected to it is going to be selected. And then when you want to separate it out into its own object, the handy dandy keyboard shortcut for this is P, that'll bring up the separate menu. And we are going to separate the selection. So this is going to separate everything that we selected into its own object. So you'll see now in the right hand corner, we have cube and we have cube 0.001, because basically it just named it a copy of cube because the original thing was named cube, so it's just naming it cube again and like making a copy of the name. But if we go back and out into object mode now, you'll notice that when we're in object mode, we can now click these, and they're two separate things now. They do their own thing now. They do their own thing. And if you ever want to rename something, if you ever want to rename an object, you can just go into the right hand corner where you see it in the list. So if you just double click it, it'll bring up the thing to type it and change the name. A lot like files, when you're in like your file explorer on a computer, if you just double click the name, you can name it something else. So I'm gonna just rename it for funsies. I'm gonna name that CubeCon, and this CubeCon, and this is Circle Chan. There we go. Okay, so I think you guys should have the basics. Oh, and just so you guys know, you can scale objects and rotate objects in the object menu. You can still move them and you can still rotate them. You can still do that, but personally, I prefer doing it directly in the edit menu because I won't go into the specifics, but generally you should try to do all of those edits in the edit menu. Because sometimes if you scale things in object mode, it will mess how the tools interact with it later in edit mode. So you just kind of want to just do all of your size editing, especially in edit mode, to make sure all your tools work as expected and behave as expected. You guys don't have to worry about that for like a long while. That's more stuff related to like sculpting tools and texture painting, but I'm just kind of like letting you guys know as like for the future for now. Okay, let me drink some water. And you guys should also drink some water. Hydrate. PvP. Hello, I. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay. I've hydrated. So now that you guys kind of have the basic controls down, let's Okay, we're gonna start from scratch here, so I can kind of show you guys. Let's walk through some examples of stuff that we can do. So first of all, let's get rid of Circle Chan and CubeCon. We're gonna get rid of both of them. So if you want to get rid of both of them, just select them all either with box select or press A to select everything. In object mode, just get rid of them. We don't want them anymore. They're gonna get back together and elope and take a honeymoon to Mexico or something. But oh my god, guess what? They accidentally forgot their child. Which we are going to make, let's make their child Monkey. This is their child Monkey. Monkey has been left home alone while they go on their honeymoon. So, if you want to add Monkey... yes, exactly. So, I added it in object mode. So make sure you're in object mode when you add the monkey. Actually, I don't even think you'd go into edit mode if the monkey wasn't there. There was nothing to edit. But now you have monkey. So we're gonna select monkey and we're gonna go into edit mode. So you guys will see monkey is made up of a lot more complex shapes. Monkey is a much more complicated shape. He's made up of a lot of different vertices, edges, faces. He had a rough childhood having Circle Chan and Cube Kun as parents. So he's a complicated individual, very complex. But this is a good time to kind of teach you guys how we can start changing the shapes on things. So this isn't going to be, I'm not going to teach you, we're not going to like do things exactly. I kind of just teach you guys things in general. So let's take the box select, for example, right? Let's say Monkey has been having a really bad day. You know, Monkey's kind of sad, right? Monkey's sad. We want to give Monkey a longer face to reflect Monkey's inner emotional state and how sad he is. So, for example, if we wanted to make Monkey have a longer face, everyone say return to Monkey. No one asks how is Monkey. Yes, exactly, Sugar. No one asks how is Monkey. And Monkey's sad. Monkey's sad. Anyways, to kind of give you an idea of how we could go about doing this, let's take the box select tool, right? And I'm in Vertex Select. If we mouse over and we just want to select like the very bottom parts of Monkey's face here in edit mode. We're just gonna select the very bottom parts of Monkey's face. And then if I take the move tool and I move these down, you'll notice that the faces stretch because the vertices that are making up these faces are moving downward. So the faces stretch out too. And so then when we move this up and down, we can adjust how long Monkey's face is. Monkey's very sad. His face is very long now. Although Monkey's smiling a little bit. Monkey's actually smiling a little bit. If we wanted to make Monkey frown, we would have to figure out, okay, Monkey's frown is made up of all of these vertices and edges and faces. What vertices can I move around to make it look like he's frowning? So if we look at his mouth, you can see the corners of his mouth here. Sometimes you kind of have to zoom in to get like a better look at all the shapes and stuff. But you can see his mouth is made up of these vertices on the inside, so I'm going to select those. There's some more vertices that make up the outside of his mouth, and also like the corners of his mouth here. So I've selected 6 vertices total, and these are the ones that make up the corners of Monkey's mouth. Hopefully you guys got a chance to get that selected. You guys should be able to kind of see it. You might have to like zoom in and move your camera around a little bit to get a good view to select them. But yes, those are the vertices that make up Monkey's mouth. And now that I've selected them, I can move them down. And if I move them down, it changes the shape. And now, Monkey's face truly reflects his state of being. And his state of being is sad. Monkey is sad. Look, now he's frowning a little bit. But you know what? He could look even sadder. He could look even sadder if we took the rest of the parts of his mouth here. Let's select all of the parts of the bottom of his mouth, like the middle bottom of his mouth. So the ones on the inside, the ones in the center here, and the ones on the outside too, just to be safe. If we select all of them, and then if I move them up, it will change the shape. If I move them up, now he looks even sadder. Now he's such a sad monkey. He's a sad monkey. Monkey face when monkey progressed to humanity. Hi, Mercy. Now monkey's sad. We've successfully made monkey sad. Maybe we should feel a little bit bad. But I mean, hey, if we press undo a bunch of times, monkey becomes happy again. Look, monkey's happy again. Isn't that great? Monkey's happy again because I undid all the stuff that we just did. Oh, actually, and this brings up a really good point that I want to bring up to you guys. Like, selecting and deselecting counts as an action in Blender. That is a thing that can be undid or redid. So just keep that in mind, that selecting and deselecting stuff does contribute to your undo history. Selecting and deselecting is part of stuff that is, like, you can undo. Oh, my nose is itchy. Okay, so another thing that we can keep in mind now is that besides being able to move things up and down and around to change the shape of things, we can also scale and rotate things as well. So let's take monkey's nose, for example. Monkey's nose. So if we select his nose parts, I think the easiest way, let's go into face select. This will probably be the easiest way to select monkey's nose. So make sure you're in face select up in the top corner next to edit mode. And then we can start selecting parts of monkey's nose. Rather than using box select, I think it will be, it'll be more exact if we select it one face at a time. So I'm just going to select all of the faces that make up monkey's nose here. His nose is actually kind of heart-shaped. It's very cute. So there, we've selected monkey's nose parts. And now that we have monkey's nose selected, we can take the scale tool and we can make monkey's nose bigger or smaller now because we selected the parts that make up the nose. So we could uniformly scale monkey's nose, but then his nose kind of moves into his face a little bit because it's scaling from the very center of the selection. So if I make it bigger, it gets bigger on all sides. So you can see it like clipping into his face a little bit. There are multiple ways that you could fix that. You could do this, where you could, after you've scaled it, you could select your move tool, and then you can just move it outward so the nose is farther from the face. Or if I undid it, you could scale it only one or two ways. You could scale it just this way and just this way, so that way it doesn't clip into his face as much because it's not getting wider on the green axis. That's another way to do it. And we can also rotate his nose. We can rotate all of the stuff that we've selected. So if you take the rotate tool, which is right above the scale tool, we can rotate monkey's nose. We could give him a nose that points downwards, a nose that points upwards. Give him a crooked nose that points this way. Maybe someone punched monkey in the nose really hard. That would suck. There's a lot of different ways that we can mess with monkey's nose. Did everybody get that? Did everybody understand those controls? Was everybody able to like try out some of those things? Did it work for you right? I hope I'm not going too fast. Yes? Okay, cool. Monkey has seen some things. But you know what? Maybe Monkey wants to forget. Monkey wants to forget the things that they've seen. If Monkey wants to forget, we could take the circle tool, select all of the faces that make up Monkey's eyes, and we could delete them. We could delete the faces, and Monkey no longer has eyes, and Monkey cannot see. Monkey can become blind and forget all of the things that Monkey has seen. Now, if you rotate the camera and you get a better view, you can see that Monkey's head is completely empty, and now you are traumatized. Poor monkey. Poor monkey. Monkey has no thoughts, only pain. Yes, truly. So how are you guys feeling? You guys have any questions? Do you guys feel like you've got like a really basic idea of like the controls and stuff now? You guys think you got it? Feeling okay? All right, cool, cool, cool. Okay, so actually I forgot. Monkey's name is Suzanne. The Blender monkey's name is Suzanne. So actually, monkey is named Suzanne. I should respect Suzanne's name. I wonder monkey's still alive. Okay. Let Suzanne go on vacation. I think Suzanne needs a vacation, so we're gonna select. I went back into object mode. I'm gonna select Suzanne, and we're gonna press delete and send Suzanne off onto a nice relaxing vacation to Disney World. And I'm gonna teach you guys one more really handy tool, or maybe two more really handy tools for like basic editing of a mesh. So we're going to add let's add a mesh, and we're gonna add a cube, because the cube is just like one of the easiest shapes to understand and mess around with. So we have our cube, we've got our cube selected, and we're gonna go back into edit mode now. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you guys about this awesome, extremely handy tool called the Extrude Tool. This is yeah, it's just so useful. The Extrude Tool is like one of the most useful tools for 3D modeling. Okay, so let's say we have this box, right? We have this box, and you think to yourself, wow, this box is really boring. I want to make this box look cooler. So, to make this box look cooler, we're gonna make sure we're in Face Select, and we're gonna select this face. And in the left bar of tools, you're gonna see a tool called Extrude Region, and you're gonna click that tool to select it. Now, when you click on this face, you can move this tool, or I mean, you can move, how do I describe what's happening here? Basically, Blender you're telling Blender, there was this face on the top of the cube, and I want to move this face somewhere else, but when I move it, I want you to make other stuff to fill up the space in between. That's what the Extrude Tool is doing, basically. So while you have the Extrude Tool selected, every time you click on it and click and drag, you'll move this face, and Blender will fill in a bunch of the stuff in between the original spot where it was and the new spot to where you drag it. So you can see every time that I have used the Extrude Tool to move this face around and drag it, it's created a whole bunch of new faces to fill in that space in between. And another thing to keep in mind is this, alright, so I still have this face selected, right? I could take something like the scale tool, and I can still scale it, and you'll notice that, remember, all of the edges are going to like move so that to connect to the vertice. So you'll notice that when I scale this to be smaller, all of this stuff that's connecting it like moves to be more, it changes its shape. Sorry, I'm not good at words. But you kind of get what I'm getting at, right? Like, I'm technically only scaling this thing, but I'm changing the whole shape of it because it needs to connect there, because that's what it's connected to. And so that's the basics of how the Extrude Tool works. And I want you guys to realize that the Extrude Tool works not only on faces, but let me show you what happens if we let's select the edges. If I select an edge and I use the Extrude Tool, it will extrude this edge, and it will move the edge out, but it makes this face that's connecting where the edge was and the new spot where it's at. So if I just keep doing this and like dragging this wherever I want, I make a whole bunch of new faces really fast, really quickly. It's very flexible, and you can still select stuff and move it around. It's all just new edges and faces that Blender is making on the spot to connect the old spots to the new spot. So now we have something that looks like a horrible milk carton with a straw, kinda. Oh, and you'll notice you can also do it with, you can even do it with individual vertexes and stuff. If I select a vertex and I use the Extrude tool and I drag it around, it makes an edge. It makes an edge to connect the original vertex with the new one that you just made and moved around. Extrude tool is very, 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 very useful. Let me show you guys another use of it. So if I took the edges here, if I selected, here, let's mess around with this wall of the cube milk carton thing. If I select these edges, let's say I select the edges that make up this whole square. If I use the Extrude tool, even though I only selected the edges, it still extrudes this whole square out because that square is there. So it's going to keep the square and move the whole square because that's what these edges are making, are this square, and that square is there. But if I take the face select tool, let's say I take the face select tool and I delete only the square, but the edges are still there, and then I went back into edge select and I selected the edges, and then I used the Extrude tool, which, oops, sorry, I didn't use the Extrude tool the way I tell you guys. And I use the Extrude tool, it doesn't make the square because there's no square there. So it only moves out the edges and it doesn't make a square. But if the square was there, it would take the square along with it. And now we have a really bad milk carton. Okay. I'm trying to figure out some other uses. Milk. Oh, okay. Here's another really useful way to use the Extrude tool is, okay. So first of all, I'm going to teach you guys a shortcut for the Extrude tool. This shortcut I use a lot. So let's, once again, let's go into edge select. I'm going to select all of the edges that make up this square here. And a shortcut that we can use is, even if I'm in another tool, if I have another tool selected, if I press E, it turns into the Extrude tool. And you can drag it around. You can still drag it around and use it, but it'll only move along this one axis. You can extrude that way, or if I press E and I don't move my mouse and I just click after I press E, it may not look like it, but you actually did extrude. And the thing that's going to be selected is the new edges and shape that was made from the extrude that you just did. So if I move it up and down, you'll still see actually that it did extrude, and you can freely manipulate this however you want. So if I undo, I'm going to undo to right after I extruded and I didn't move it at all or anything. If I press select and I scale it, you'll notice that it does this really cool thing where it's all on the same plane. It's like all part of kind of the same surface, I guess, but I've extruded it. So now it's like kind of an inset part of it. It's like a smaller version of it on the inside. And this is also really useful. So now this is selected, and if I extrude again from here with the Extrude tool and I bring it up, now we've got this really weird, funky shape that you made really easily that is like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like, but it's like it's a useful shape. It's useful to be able to do stuff like this where you make basically it's just a way to modify the topography of the mesh so that it's got the parts that you want so that you can move them around really easy. When you first start, it's going to be it'll be tough, like figuring out exactly how to do things exactly to get where you want to go. But as you get more experience, it'll become more intuitive to you, and you'll start like understanding how to manipulate the vertices and edges and meshes with stuff like the Extrude Tool and the move and rotation much easier. Okay. So now that I think you guys have like a pretty good understanding of all of these basic tools and all these basic shapes, I'm going to go ahead. Let's use A to select all, and we're going to delete this crazy shape that I just made. We don't want it anymore. I do not want any milk anymore. And okay, so let's do a little quick explanation of kind of how shapes work. So everything in the world has a shape, right? And even really complex objects, you can kind of break them down into some basic shapes. So we can, let me think of an example. Let's take a phone for example. A phone it's basically a rectangle. So let's try to think of, when I 3D model, I basically think of, okay, what is the basic shape of this thing I want to make? How can I get to that shape using basic tools in Blender? So for example, a phone is basically kind of like a flat rectangular object, right? So if I wanted to make a phone, I would think to myself, okay, well, a rectangle is basically like a cube, right? So I bring in a cube. And I think to myself, okay, well, it's a really flat rectangular kind of cube. So if I take the scale tool, I'm going to use the scale tool and I'm going to make it really flat. And then it's a rectangle, right? So I'm going to scale it this other way and make it rectangular. And then I'm like, okay, I have a flat rectangle. And then let me think to myself, okay, well, a phone has a screen on it, right? The phone is basically like a rectangle inside a rectangle. So I would take the face tool, I would click whatever I would want the front face of the phone to be, and I would think to myself, okay, I want a smaller rectangle directly inside of this bigger rectangle. So I'm going to take the Extrude tool to make that second separate rectangle, and I'm going to click to leave it in place, and then with the scale tool, I'm going to make that rectangle smaller. I'm going to make it a smaller rectangle right inside the first one. And then, look, you almost have a phone there. You almost have a phone. And then I think to myself, okay, well, I have an iPhone. What other kind of stuff is on an iPhone, right? So I think to myself, okay, well, my iPhone is kind of one of the older iPhones, and it's got that circular button at the bottom, right? So I want a circle. So what I can do is I can go into add. I can go into add circle. So I can add a circle. And then I'm like, oh my god, where's the circle? I don't see it. It tells you that the center of the circle is like over here because you can see in the move axes. So I just need to move it where I can see it. There's my circle, look. But the circle is too big for my phone button. So I can take the scale tool and I can scale it uniformly all the way. And then I can move the button over here. I see the circle and I'm like, okay, it needs to get closer to the phone. So I'm gonna move it down to where the phone is. I'm like, but this is just a circle. This isn't a button. And then I think to myself, okay, well, I have a circle. I need to make a face for it. So if you guys remember the shortcut that I taught you guys earlier, I have all of the vertices selected on this circle. If I press F, it connects them all to make a face. And now this button has a face, and we have a button for our phone. And actually, I'm going to move it a little bit more there. And there, you basically have a thing that looks like a phone, kinda. And we made that in like what, 2 minutes maybe? Was everybody able to make the phone along with me? How did it go? And obviously this is an incredibly rough phone. This is a kind of If anybody got stuck at any part, or like if I went too fast at some part and you kind of just want to get clarification, feel free to let me know. This is a very, very rough phone shape. If I wanted to get even fancier, still trying to make it. Okay. If there was any parts that you got lost in, I can re-go over it. But this is just kind of give you an idea of like the shape workflow of just thinking about, okay, this is the thing is a shape. How can I make that shape closer to the thing I want to make? If I wanted to get like a little bit, oh, and I think I should also mention this for the Extrude Tool. So I'm gonna take the Extrude Tool. I selected the screen of my phone camera. The Extrude Tool also, it doesn't work just outwards, it also works inwards. So I can like make the thing go inside and it'll create these little walls. And I guess at this point this doesn't really look like a phone anymore, but you kind of get the gist of it. Like, it can work up and it can work down. It can go in a lot of different directions. If anybody, does anybody want me to make the phone a second time? Would that be helpful for you guys? I could do it again. Okay, so the way I started is, so I went into add and I added a cube, and I'm gonna move it out of the way. So we've got a cube and we want to get this into the rectangular shape, right? So I'm gonna go to scale. I'm gonna scale, and I'm going to scale it along the blue axis to make it like flat, like a phone. And then I want it to be a rectangle, so I'm going to scale it along either the green or the red axis. It just depends on which way you want to face the phone when you make it. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to scale it along here to make it rectangular, right? Okay. And I'm still in face select. So we want that shape that looks like a phone screen, right? So, actually wait, hold on. Let me adjust this a little bit, make it a little wider. Okay. So we're going to select the front of the phone. So we can select that, and I'm going to use the Extrude tool. So I'm going to use the shortcut. I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm not going to move my mouse. I'm just going to click after I've extruded it, so that it's just like where the new shape is just exactly where it was, where the old shape was. And then I'm just going to scale it with the scale tool. And I'm just going to scale it a little bit so it's just like a square or a rectangle inside this other rectangle. I'm going to adjust the shape a little bit along this axis to make it look more like my phone. And then we've got the basic kind of screen inside a phone shape. Are you guys that far? You guys got that far? Yes? Okay, cool. And then I'm going to go, I want a phone button, right? So let's go into add again, and under add, you'll see circle. So we're gonna add circle, and the circle is like here, so we're gonna move the circle where we can see it, right? And the circle's where we can see it. And if we use the keyboard shortcut F, if we press F, it will connect all of the vertices that were selected that were part of the circle and make a face out of it. So it gives us this nice, cool circle face. And then we can move it over with our move tool. We can move it over. And we're going to move it to the bottom of the phone where a phone button would go with all of our move tools. And then we're going to take our scale tool to make it smaller and button size. So I've selected the scale tool now that the button's like roughly where I want it to be. And we're going to scale it down so it fits on the phone. We've got a small circle face that's going to act like our button. And then I can select the move tool, and I can move the circle to like just center it a little bit better, make it look a little nicer. And then there, we have basically a phone. How did that second time go for you guys? How'd that go? Yes, it is. It's definitely a questionable phone. It's a questionable phone, but I made nice. You made it. Yes, it's a questionable phone, but you guys made it, right? You made that phone. That is a phone that you made with your own 2 hands. And obviously, this is just a very basic, very fast shape that we've made here, right? There's a lot of ways that we could make this into, like, a better looking phone. Like, most phones now have round corners. There are ways that we could get round corners on this. If we wanted to add, oops, my button's in a bad spot. If we wanted to add texture to it, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah. I could teach you guys about materials and textures, but I might do that for maybe another stream, because that'd be kind of a lot to get into. I think now is just like a good time to kind of let you guys practice with making shapes and understanding how to build objects out of like the basic Blender tools and geometry. So I'm actually going to leave it up to you guys now. First of all, let's select all of the phones. Well, I mean, if you guys want to keep the phones you made, you can keep the phone. If you want to keep the phone you made, you can keep the phone. I won't make you get rid of your phone. This is your first cool, fun thing that you made. Oh, also the thing to keep in mind is those lines look cool, right? But these lines are only visible in edit mode, because these lines aren't going to be visible when you're in object mode. Edit mode shows you the mesh of the thing that you made, but it's not visible. The lines aren't visible in object mode. If you want the different, like, if you want it to be more obvious that there's a shape there and you don't have textures, usually what I like to do is, for example, I'll take the face select tool. And then I will use the extrude tool, and I will move this down a little bit so that there's some more dimension to it. I can do the same with the button. I could take the extrude tool and then give the button some dimension, make it stick out. I know that's not how a phone button works, but I'm too lazy to do it better. It's just to like show that there's a shape there. So now when you go into object mode, you can at least, there's some shading on it now, because it's like not just a flat rectangle object, it's got some dimension to it. So you can actually see a little bit better. It's just really hard to see because there's no textures on this right now, and it's not made of any special material. It's just plain gray object. So it's like harder to see. Okay, so if you want, in object mode, you can rename this, you can rename it phone. You can call it phone. And if you want to keep it, you can keep it and just hide it. You can hide it by going into that top right menu here, where you renamed your object phone. And there's a little eyeball icon. And if you click the eyeball icon, it'll hide it so you can't see it anymore. But it's still there. You haven't lost your phone. And now I think it would be fun if we made something that you guys want to make. What's an object that you guys want to make? What's something that you think is made up of what you think might actually not be too hard to make? What's something you guys want to try? Make a couple suggestions and then I'll pick something. No, Miku is not a simple shape. Miku is very hard. We are not making a Miku today. Pizza? Oh, pizza would actually be pretty fun to make. Yeah, let's make a pizza. Okay, So let's go into, we're in object mode, right? Because we can't be in edit mode because there's nothing to edit. We're gonna be in object mode and we're gonna add. And as we all know, pizzas are usually circular. We're gonna make a traditional circular pizza. So, there's a bunch of different ways we could do this. We could start with a circle. But you know what would be even easier? It'd be even easier if we started with a cylinder, because there is a cylinder in Blender. So let's add a cylinder. And now we've got ourselves a nice round cylinder. Okay, so let's go into edit mode, and we're gonna edit this to be more pizza-like. Okay, so to make it a pizza, let's take this cylinder, and obviously we all know a pizza is very, pretty flat. A pizza is usually not tall like this. So we're gonna take the scale tool, and we're gonna flatten it out with the scale tool. And now we've got this flat circular object. I'm gonna make it a little bit wider and bigger. So I'm taking the white circle scale to make it a wider pizza. I want a big old pizza slice in my tummy. Yummy, yummy. Okay, so now we have, I guess we can call it our pizza dough, right? We have our pizza dough. And then what we can do is we want to give our pizza a crust, right? So what we can do is, Stallion Vanguard, hello, hello, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. We're making a pizza right now. Oh, thank you so much for the follow. I love pizza too. Okay. So, oh, let me teach you guys another very, very convenient shortcut that I use all the time when I 3D model. So, I'm gonna be real, I don't actually really understand this shortcut. I learned this shortcut from watching a Blender tutorial, and I just use it all the time, but I don't actually fully understand how it works, technically. I know that sounds weird to say, but, so basically, if I hold Alt, and, I'm going to be in Edge Select for this one. If I hold Alt and I left-click an edge, it's going to select all of this stuff that's like, I don't know how to describe it. It like selects everything kind of like in a ring way. So it selected I selected this edge on the corner here while holding Alt, and then it selected everything that's kind of attached to it in a ring shape. So it selected everything else that's part of like this ring. Yeah, I really don't understand technically exactly what it's selecting or how it decides what to select there, but it's basically selecting like a ring of stuff. So I selected that, and now I've selected this whole ring of pizza. It's a very good shortcut. And we want to make crust, right? So I'm going to use the Extrude Tool once again, where I press E, and I just click in place to keep it where it was before, because I don't want to move it up or down. I'm just going to, I did that, and now I'm going to take the scale tool, and I'm going to scale the circle that we just made so that I can have this second circle on the inside. And then now we have these two circles, the outside circle and this inside circle. And now we have this whole outside circle, which is very cool and convenient. And if I do face select, this Alt selection shortcut works on faces too. So if I hold Alt and I click one of the outside faces, okay. Sometimes I don't know why it does this, but sometimes it doesn't do it exactly the way you want to. Sometimes I have to like click it multiple times or like mess around and select different ones. I still don't actually understand how it decides when, like, what to select when I do it. But basically just keep Alt selecting until you get the ring here, until you get that ring selected. And then once you have that ring selected, you can use the Extrude Tool. You have to click on the edges, I think. Ah, okay. And then once you have that ring selected, you can use the Extrude Tool, and you can move it up. And now it kind of looks like a crust a little bit, right? It's kind of crusty. I could move it a little taller. Have a nice thick crust. And it's gonna be a very stiff looking pizza, but we're just trying to get a basic pizza shape. There's ways to make the pizza rounder that I can show you guys afterwards. But we just want to get our basic pizza shape. Actually, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make the crust even taller. No. I'm actually gonna select this, and I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna select this and move it down because I think it'll be like a deep dish pizza, kinda, a little bit. Yeah, nice. Okay, how's everybody doing? How's everyone doing? Do you have your rough pizza shape? Have I lost anybody? Somewhat? Not lost yet? Okay. So usually what I would do is okay, I'll you know what? I'll teach you guys materials really quick because I think it'll be really useful to make this look more pizza-like. Okay. So, let's do okay. So this will just be a very, very quick, rough explanation of materials. So materials in Blender are basically, you're telling Blender what stuff is made out of and what it should look like, basically. So to make a new material, we're going to go into these menus over here on the right hand of the screen. In this column. It's like a whole row of like tool icons here. And you'll see an icon that looks like a checkerboard sphere, and it's gonna say material properties. So I'm gonna click on that, and then this menu should come up. It'll say like cylinder and new and assign and select and deselect. And I want a new material. I want to have new material. So I'm going to add one, and so I'm gonna press new. And if I double click the material, I can name it. I'm gonna name this material cheese. And I think I need another material. I want a material that's called crust because I want two different colors on this pizza at least. I want the crust color and I want the cheese color. This is like an easy way to color things in Blender without like drawing textures. It's really useful actually. So if I want to add a new material after has a cheese, there's like a little plus button right here at the side. Oh, you guys can't see it on my screen. Sorry. Let me resize my Blender a bit. I didn't realize that it was so it was cut off like that. Okay. So yeah, at the side there's a plus and a minus. The plus lets you add another material. So if you click it, you should be able to add a new material. And now there's like a new blank slot there in the list. We're just going to press new again to make sure that a new material shows up. And I'm going to name this one, I'm going to name it crust. No, crust. There we go. Cheese and crust. Those are our two basic materials that we've got. So the easiest way to do this now is, first of all, let's decide what cheese and crust should look like. So I'm going to select cheese first. So if we scroll down, you'll see there's like this just huge, oh, I'm not sure if you guys, hopefully you guys have the same view that I do, but if you don't, there's like a bunch of drop downs. Make sure that the surface drop down is like drop down so you can see all of the stuff under the surface section of all these settings. And you'll see there is like a whole ton of settings. I'll be real with you guys. I don't know exactly what every single setting in this does, but you know what? That's not important. We don't need to know what every single thing does. All I want to do is make it yellow to look like cheese. So you'll see here we have base color, if you click on base color, it'll bring up this color picker wheel. Base color is near the top of the surface settings if you couldn't find it. But make sure it's base color, not subsurface color. Just make sure it's base color. So if you click on the color in base color, if you click that white bar, you can mess around now. You can click around on this color picker and select the color that you want. There's a lot of ways to change the color. There's 3 different settings. There's RGB, there's hue, saturation, value, there's hex. There's a lot of different ways to pick colors. Let's just do the default, which is hue, saturation, value, and I want like a yellow, light yellow color, like pizza mozzarella. So I'm going to drag the color thingy over to yellow. And you can change how light and dark it is with that white to black bar at the side right next to the color picking wheel. But we're gonna leave it pretty light looking because it's just cheese. I'm gonna find my ideal pizza cheese color. Okay, it's good enough. It's gonna be an ugly pizza. It's okay. And then if you click out of it, it'll go away. And now our base color for cheese is just this light yellow cheese color. Okay, that's good enough for now. Now what we want to do is we want to decide what crust looks like. So go back up into this list of your materials and click on your crust material that you made. And let's do the same thing. Let's scroll down. Let's find the base color setting down under surface. We're going to click it and we're going to decide what color we want our pizza crust to look like. I like a nice traditional pizza made of normal pizza dough. So I'm just gonna make my crust like a brown color. So brown would be like kind of in the oranges, and then it'd be like darker. Pizza crust color, where are you? I will find the pizza crust color. Okay, that's kind of pizza crusty color, I think. It's pretty close. Okay, now we have decided what color we want cheese to be, and we've decided what color we want crust to be, right? Okay. So the easiest way I think to do this is most of the pizza is crust. There's only one shape on here that is cheese, right? So to make things easier on ourselves, we're just gonna select everything with the A keyboard shortcut. If you press A, you're gonna select everything. So we're gonna select everything, and then you should still have that all of the material stuff open up on the right hand side. So make sure that you have crust selected and that you have your whole pizza selected, and there's a button that says assign. The assign button should be right underneath the list of materials. It should be assign, select, deselect. And you're going to want to press assign. And basically what you're doing is you are telling Blender, everything that I have selected, I want that to be crust. So now when we deselect, oh shoot, I forgot to teach you guys something important. Blender has different viewports. They show you different ways to view your objects. So right now we are in solid mode. You can see all the different viewports on the top right corner. They look like different spheres. They should look like 4 different spheres. Click on the sphere that looks like the sphere with a checkerboard. And that will change it to material preview. So you can see what the object looks like with all of the materials on it. So now when we deselect, if you have assigned all of the pizza to your pizza crust material that you made, it should be brown now. You should have a nice brown pizza crust now. Isn't it beautiful? We have our nice brown pizza crust. How's everybody doing? Have I lost anybody? Are you all good? Now I want pizza. Pizza. Not lost, getting hungry though. You get still? Okay, awesome. Hunger. Okay. So, as you guys can see, our whole pizza is now crust because we selected all of the pizza and said we want all of the pizza to be crust. But a pizza wouldn't be pizza, to be honest, if it didn't have cheese. I don't think just pizza dough actually is pizza. I think it's just dough. It's just bread. So what we want to do is we want to add some cheese to the pizza. So we're going to select this big circle in the center that we have. We're going to select this big circle, just the circle. Make sure you're in face select so you select the circle. And then select cheese in your list of materials on the right hand side. Select cheese. And then press the assign button to tell Blender that I want this circle to become cheese. And now we have crust and cheese. This big middle circle is now cheese. And our pizza, you know, our pizza doesn't look that appetizing, right? We could add some toppings if we want. You guys can add whatever toppings you want. Me, I think I want a sausage pizza. So I think the way that I could probably make sausage, they're gonna be very simple sausages. Let's add and you guys can add whatever toppings you want. You can get creative with it. I'm gonna add sausage because I like sausage. But if you guys want pepperoni, you guys could easily add in pepperonis. You could either add circles and make those into faces, or you could add cylinders and make them small and flatten them. I'm gonna make sausage, so I'm going to add a UV sphere. I'm gonna make a sphere. Actually, you know, I don't want to make a sphere. I don't want to make a UV sphere. UV sphere is very smooth. Sausages aren't that round. I'm gonna add an icosphere. There, it's like a little bumpier looking. The icosphere is bumpier looking, so this looks more like a sausage. So I'm gonna scale this down. My sausages are gonna be pretty small little chunks of sausage. Oh, here's another really handy shortcut for you guys. If you want to copy something, select the thing that you want to copy. I have selected this whole icosphere, or sausage rather. And if you want to copy it, you can press Shift D, and that duplicates it. And you can move it around, and it just makes a copy of the thing that you selected. It's incredibly convenient, very cool. And before I make more sausages, I've realized that these sausages are actually made out of cheese still. It's still got the cheese material on it, and if it's just a ball of cheese, that's not sausage. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into my material menu, and for my pizza topping, I'm gonna make one that's called sausage. So once again, I'm gonna press the plus button to make a new material, and I'm gonna press new to make sure that that new material like starts existing. And I'm gonna rename this sausage. And I think for my sausage, I think a sausage is supposed to be brown generally. So I will just make it nice brown color. And I'm going to use that handy dandy shortcut that I taught you guys earlier, where you mouse over what you want to select and press L, and it'll select all of the things that are attached to that thing. And select these sausages, and I'm going to assign that to the sausage material, and now they are brown lumps on my pizza. So I'm going to I'm just gonna make a bunch of sausages now. Just gonna move them around. Oops, put them on my pizza. If I want to get really fancy with it, I could alternate some of the sizes. Some sausages are gonna be bigger than other sausages. And let's spend the next 5 minutes, you guys, just putting toppings on our pizza. You guys can put whatever toppings you want. Feel free to get creative. You could make sausage like me. You could make yourself pepperoni. What other things do people put on pizza? You could put tomato slices. What are other simple pizza toppings? I mean, there's a whole bunch of toppings you could put, but the shapes would be a little bit more complex, so it'd be a little bit... It would be, extra time making the shape of the other toppings. But you could make whatever pizza topping you want. Oops. Ah, no. There we go. And if you guys take any screenshots of the stuff that you make today, I would love to see pictures of it. Please feel free to post it in the Discord. I would love to see the stuff that you guys made today from the stream. I hope that you guys are having fun making pizza and cell phones and whatever else you want. My pizza is too beautiful for others to behold. Oh, I could have arranged my sausages to make a face. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make my sausages into a face. Okay, let me move around some of my sausages. Mine's gonna be a happy sausage pizza. Ah! Happy sausage pizza. Hey, Bean, what's up? My voice is actually fine. My voice is good, which is great. I was very pleased that, I did not destroy my voice. I just couldn't sing anymore yesterday. We're making pizza right now. I have been teaching the basics of 3D modeling. How did I say for a bit? Thank you. It was cool having you by while I played. I'm glad you had fun. Thank you for stopping by the stream yesterday, Bean. Okay, I'll add one more sausage and then I'm done with my pizza. Okay. I'm happy with my pizza. How's your guys' pizza? How's everyone's pizza? What toppings did you all put on your pizza? Did you also put sausage? Did you put pepperoni? Did you go crazy and put some other kind of topping on your pizza? A single pepperoni? Nice. Can you imagine though, like, you ordered a pizza, but instead of a bunch of small pepperonis, you just put one huge giant pepperoni? I actually have pepperoni in my fridge right now. Okay. I'm very happy with the pizza. Nice. Yes. Here's my pizza. My pizza is, he's nice and smiley. Okay. So everybody's pizza is probably kind of, probably a little bit stiff looking, right? You're okay, well, first of all, some of the sausages the sausages are sticking out of the bottom of the crust. We could solve that by moving all of the sausages and putting them up higher on the pizza, probably. Your sausage is floating. Yeah, that'll happen to you too sometimes. Remember, when you 3D model, you should always be constantly looking at your 3D model from, like, all the angles. Because sometimes you'll look at something and be like, oh my god, yes, look, my pizza is perfect. But then you look at it from the side and then you realize, like, some stuff is actually not where you thought it was. The pizza's smiling on both sides. Yeah, true, Sugar. The pizza is smiling on both sides. Oh, let me teach you guys another really, really convenient shortcut to doing things. So, as you can see, my sausages are all poking through the crust. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe I don't want my pizzas to poke through the crust. So what I can do to select all of my sausages at once is if you go over into your material list at the right-hand side, if you go to the material list at the right-hand side, as if I have sausage selected, that button right in the middle that says select, if I click that, it will do this really awesome convenient thing where it will select everything that you told Blender was sausage. And it's a really, really convenient way to quickly select things. So I'm going to take all of the sausage and I'm going to just move it up just a little bit so it doesn't poke through my crust. I'm going to move this one a little bit individually. There, and now my sausage is no longer poking through my crust. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Yay. Okay, so now that we have made our pizza, you're probably thinking to yourself, Pandy, actually, this looks more like a fruit tart. The crust is not very round like a pizza is supposed to be. And to that, I would say, you know what? Yeah, I think you're correct. I think this pizza could be a little bit rounder. We want to make the crust rounder, right? So what we can actually do is let's go back into edit mode. And we want the crust to be rounder. So let's go into our materials list on the right-hand side. Let's go to the one part that says crust. I'm going to select everything that's crust. And I'm going to separate the crust from the rest of the pizza. So I taught you guys the shortcut earlier, but you probably don't remember. But we want to separate this crust out into its own object. So we're going to press P to bring up the separate menu. And we're going to, I actually could have separated by material. So actually, let's do that. I could separate by selection. I've already selected the crust. Or I could select by material. So actually, if I deselect the crust and I just press P, I can still select by material. And then, oops, I accidentally, I separated the sausages by accident. Oh wait, no. If you separate by material, it will separate every single material into its own object. So this first one, it separated all of the sausages out separately. The second one separated all of the crust out. This is the crust object. This third one is the cheese. Something happened. I accidentally pressed Shift Z. Let me see what Shift Z does. Oh, okay, that's not so bad. You just changed the viewport, dude. If you go back up to the right-hand corner and you select the viewport that is the circle with a checkerboard on it, you'll get back to the normal viewport. You are totally fine. Okay, so let me name all of the objects. I'm back out in object mode because we've separated all of our pizza parts out into separate objects. I'm going to just double check which ones they all are and then name them. So this is sausage. This is crust. And this is cheese, because that's all that's left. Of course it's cheese. Okay. Now we've separated our pizza parts out into separate objects. They're all their own standalone thing. So I will teach you guys. This is just like a very easy way to make things rounder. Okay, so let's make sure we're in object mode, right? We're in object mode. I just want to make sure. Does everybody have all of their pizza parts separated out? Does everybody have their sausage, their cheese, their crust all separated out into 3 different objects? Here, right here in the object list on the right top side. If you need me to go over again how to separate them out, let me know, and I can show you guys again. No problem. I drink water. Okay. No one said anything, so I will assume you guys have your pizza parts separated out. Okay. So now that you've got your pizza parts separated out into these separate objects, we're going to go to crust because we want the crust to be rounder. We're gonna select crust, and then on the right side, it's the same toolbar where we found the materials list. We are going to go to the icon that says, it looks like a little wrench. It's a blue icon that looks like a little wrench, and it's called Modifier Properties, and we're gonna click it. And when we click it, you'll see a button that says Add Modifier. So we're gonna click it, and this is a very, very, very big list, because Blender is a complex program that can do a ton of different things. I do not know what all of these things do, to be real with you guys. I do not know what all of these things do. I've only used a few of these. But the one that we're gonna be using is under the second column that says Generate. We are going to be clicking the one that's called Subdivision Surface. You are going to click Subdivision Surface. It's in the second column under Generate. It's near the bottom. Subdivision Surface. And I will click it. And basically what Subdivision Surface does is it takes the object and it adds a whole bunch of extra vertices and faces and edges dynamically to make the object rounder, basically. It's basically a make it rounder button. Make it more complex and rounder button. That's basically what Subdivision Surface is. And it's so as soon as you apply it, you will already see that our pizza crust has already become rounder very easily. It's beautiful. We have a beautiful pizza crust. And if you wanted it to become even smoother, there's these settings in the right-hand side where you added the subdivision modifier. You'll see it says subdivision, and then there's like a bunch of other options here, like Catmull Clark, simple. If you go to levels viewport and you increase the number, it increases the amount of vertices and edges and faces that this modifier generates to make it even rounder. So the higher I make this number, like the smoother it gets, because it's adding more vertices and edges and faces. But generally, for stuff like this, it's not a big deal if it's a high number. But if you're gonna use the 3D model for other stuff, just keep in mind, the more vertices and edges and faces that a model has, the tougher it is on a computer to render it and move the object around and edit it. So 3D models, you want to try to make them geometrically as simple as possible to make it easier to use the 3D model for things. So I'm just gonna keep it. Be careful with, by the way, it can crash Blender if you overdo it. Yes, that's a very good point, Val. If you get crazy with it, you can very easily crash Blender, because, as I was saying earlier, the more vertices and edges and faces that an object has, the more work it takes for the computer to render it. So if you make the number too high, you can crash your computer, because your computer will just not be able to, or it can crash Blender because your computer will just not be able to handle the sheer amount of data that's there if you make the number too high. But there, we have very easily made a rounder crust on our pizza. Yeah. How's everyone doing? Was everybody able to follow along? Do you guys all have a round crusted pizza with a nice pizza topping of your choice? Nice. Yay. I would absolutely love to see the pizzas that you guys made today. So if you guys are okay with it, or if you want to, no pressure. I do have a Discord server. It's a joint Discord server with me and my friend Olgenta. If you want, you can join our Discord server. There's a link to it right underneath my stream. And you can join the Discord server. I'll let you guys in. You can work for Demons Incorporated, the name of our Discord server, and feel free to post pictures of your pizza there. I would love to see your pizzas. Hold on. I actually have to add someone into the server because somebody joined the Discord, and I have to assign them a role, like a responsible mod or something. Okay, there we go. Your pizza may or may not look like a Ritz cracker. I mean, I like Ritz crackers. Yeah, our Discord is it's like company themed because my friend Jen is an office lady and I'm a demon, so we're like a demon company. Do I screenshot? Yeah, you can just screenshot it and just post a screenshot in the Discord. You guys can post it in. You can post it in art actually. You can post all of your pizza pictures in the art channel. And yeah. How do you screenshot? Does your keyboard have a print screen button, dude? If your keyboard has a print screen button, generally you can press the print screen button, and you can go into the art channel on Discord after you've pressed the print screen button and taken a screenshot, and just press Control V to copy paste, and it should automatically copy paste the screenshot of your whatever was showing on your desktop at the time that you pressed the screenshot button. Windows has a snipping tool too. Yeah, I actually don't use the Windows snipping tool that often. Oh, you don't have a print screen button? Hold on. I'm thinking. Dang. I think... Yeah. Windows does have the snipping tool. If you go to like your start bar and then you just start typing in snipping tool, well, I have Windows 10. I don't know what operating system you use, dude. But what I do is I go to the start bar, and then if I type in snipping, it will bring up the snipping tool app, and then you can use the snipping tool, and then you can press new snip. Sorry about it, Panda, but I can't find the link for Discord. Oh, no problem, Val. The Discord link should be, oh, maybe I think it's not clear. The join, it's like right under, oops, I forgot to mute Twitch. Right under join my Discord is a picture that says hi. The hi picture is the link to the Discord. Sorry that that's not clear. Maybe I should probably put a new thing there to make it more clear that the hi picture is the Discord link. No worries. It's like it's not clear, right? It's my bad. By the way, for anybody that came to the stream later or like had to leave the stream earlier or whatever, I am posting the VOD of this stream up to YouTube afterwards, so you can catch anything that you missed up on YouTube. I'm probably not going to be editing the video, to be honest, because I'm probably a bit too lazy to edit the video, but it will be there. You won't miss anything at the very least. Okay. Once you guys have made your pizza, well, gosh. I mean, we covered a lot of basics today. I think you guys should have a pretty good idea of how basic 3D modeling in Blender works. Do you guys have any specific questions for me? Is there anything specific that you'd like me to explain, or anything you're confused about, or is there anything you want me to demonstrate, just let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna think about pizza. No questions? Okay. Pizza. Nice. Well, just need more practice. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice so you can get faster, remember how to do everything. I try to explain everything step by step, but if I forgot to mention something, and didn't explain it, my bad. You guys can always review the VOD that will be uploaded to YouTube later. So if you had a tough time following along with any of the things that we just did today, you can always look at the VOD and just try doing it again, following the VOD again. We've had like a good 2 hours and 20 minutes of 3D modeling, which is pretty cool. Or no, I guess like technically like 20 of that minutes was me just talking to you guys, but you guys got to learn how to 3D model for like 2 hours. I think it'd be kind of fun to do these 3D modeling streams like once a month, I think. It'll probably just be really basic stuff every time. I think I'm going to like just do this every time, where I teach the very basics of 3D modeling and teach everybody the basic tools of Blender like once a month. But I'll change up the projects that we do every time, like the basic shape projects that we do every time. So, even if you've already been here to one of the other streams and you already learned the basic tools of Blender, you can still get like a nice review in case that you haven't been using Blender that much since the last stream. And I'll change up the projects so you can try out doing different shapes and making different objects and stuff. Let's see. I have 3D modeling commission work to do, actually. So I might continue doing some 3D modeling commission work for the rest of however long I decide to keep streaming. But that is it for today's Let's Learn Blender teaching tutorial. I hope you guys found it useful. I hope you guys weren't too bored. I was trying to balance like content between going slow enough for people to follow. If you guys have any feedback for future Let's Learn Blender streams, please feel free to make suggestions or something in the Discord server. I definitely don't mind making some alterations and changes to make it easier to follow, or more interesting, or easier to understand. Whatever changes I can make to make things more enjoyable for you guys, I definitely don't mind doing. And if anybody has suggestions for topics that they'd like to learn in the future, or projects that you want to do, you can also make suggestions about that in the Discord server. That's also totally fine with me. And if you guys do have any questions later, feel free to ask them in the Discord server, or leave a comment on the YouTube VOD later, and I can like check it out and reply to it, and then everybody who sees the VOD can see that question being answered. Don't worry, I uploaded my Ritz Cracker Discord. Oh, I want to see. Oh, it does look like a Ritz Cracker. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful Ritz Cracker. It's a beautiful Ritz Cracker. Ritz Crackers. But yeah, the YouTube video will be up on I'll probably upload it tonight. I'll probably upload it tonight, actually. Probably late at night, but I will upload it tonight, so you guys can try and follow along multiple times if you were having a tough time following along today. And I think that should work for everybody. Okay, so thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. I'm just gonna go do work now. I'm just gonna work now.